Intro.
I'm Al Bandiero, and I am hanging out with my buddy Jimmy and Doc G on Hamilton Radio. Tune in.
Well, we're here, but Al's not here.
Yeah.
We have his other half, Marlyn Bandiero. Welcome to the show. Tonight you're talking about your book. This is Jimmy Deal's Celebrity Spotlight.
Yeah, welcome back, Marlene. Great to have you with us again. Congratulations on the brand new book coming out, right? Tell us all about that brand new book, Cool Wheels, Believe, Achieve, right?
Yes. So this is book 2 of hopefully a series on Dante's Cool Wheels. A book about, believing in yourself, no matter what, striving to overcome any obstacle there is. And it's not just for children, it's for adults as well.
Right.
And this is the cover.
Nice.
It will be coming out hopefully on December 10th. It will be available on Amazon.
Oh, great.
And yeah, I'm really excited about it. I had a great response for the first book, which I have here as well.
Right.
This was the first book, Dante's Cool Wheels.
Right.
And this was basically our 14-year journey with our German Shepherd who was in a wheelchair. He had a stroke when he was 6 years old. And when that happened, we were told to put him down, but he was not in pain and he still had all this life in him. I could just see it in his eyes. When we saw him, we could see he was just so full of life. There was no way we could put him down.
Right.
So we said, you know what? No, we walk again. And we did. We did every type of therapy there is to animal and to humankind. I mean, we did everything from water therapy to acupuncture to, we even did 11 what they call dives in a hyperbaric chamber, which is pure oxygen into the cells. We did everything. But unfortunately, he was never able to recover the use of his back legs.
Right.
But for Dante, that was nothing. He had his wheelchair, and the first time he got on his wheelchair, he took off. He literally, we put him. I remember the vet said, not all dogs do well in wheelchairs. Don't go crazy if he just doesn't respond to it. And I said, okay, well, let's see. We put him in the wheelchair. They strapped him on, and he took off. He just literally ran, and we're like, I think he responded really well to the wheelchair. I think we're fine.
Right. And what's so nice about this, the new edition of the book, he makes a friend, right? Tell us about Freddie.
Yeah. So Freddie was inspired by a boy that actually we did meet. Dante did meet. He was the little boy in the wheelchair. He was 14 years old when we first met him. And he's been in a wheelchair his entire life, and he will be his entire life. And his mom said, when Freddie first saw Dante, he said, "Oh my God, he's just like me." And that inspired him. And what was funny is that many years later, after I had written the book, we were driving through the park and we saw Freddie. And now Freddie was like 19 years old. And I stopped and I told him, and I showed him the book, and he said, "Oh my God, you don't understand what Dante meant to me.
Right.
I hated my life. I hated my chair. I hated my wheelchair. And when I first saw Dante, I said, you know what? It's not so bad." And he helped me love my wheelchair. And he inspired him. So Freddie inspired me to write a character in the book. And in this book, Freddie and his sister, they play basketball. And Freddie wants to play basketball in his own team, but he's in a wheelchair. And regular little boys and girls don't want to play with him. And Dante says, you know what? You can do anything you want to do. If you want to play basketball like your sister, you can do it too. So he inspires him to find his own group of friends, and he does. He finds a group of little boys and girls who have wheelchairs, and they play basketball.
Right.
And he goes on and he does what they do, and it's fantastic. And I think it's about, it's about, if you believe you can do it, you can do it.
Exactly.
Whatever you want to do, you just
And
have
it wasn't just Freddie, right? I mean, there were a lot of children that Dante influenced.
Oh my goodness. There's so many stories of kids that throughout the years he met in wheelchair, when he was in a wheelchair, and they responded to him so much. Every time they saw him, they would get so excited and so happy. Because the thing about Dante is we live near a park, and he
Right.
would walk around the park, and he would grab a stick, and he would walk into a wheelchair with the stick in his mouth, and he would look for the biggest stick possible.
Right.
I mean, sometimes it was like a branch.
Wow.
And he would walk with it, and not even just walk, he would trot. And
Right.
people would be like, wow, that's amazing. And so he was just so inspiring.
He was.
And that's why it inspired me to write these books. And the first book has gone on, it did really well, and has gone on even to Italy. I have friends in Italy who teach English.
Wow.
And they had their kids buy the book, and they've been learning English through Dante's Cool Wheels.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's been fantastic. It really has. So hopefully the second book will be the same, just as inspiring.
Right. And usually people are like a little bit afraid of when they see a German Shepherd, right? But Dante was very friendly, and people were not afraid of him, right?
Dante was hilarious. So he was like the center of attention.
Mhm.
Even in the house, if we had a dinner party and we were in the living room and everyone was sitting, he would sit right smack in the center, and he would just watch everybody and just listen. He was very friendly, and he loved people, and he loved the attention. It was so funny because we had a German Shepherd before him. We had a
Mhm.
female Shepherd, and she was the complete opposite. She was much more of a loner. And we thought that, that's how German Shepherds were. And then we got Dante, and we're like, oh my God, he's completely different. He's total opposite. He
Right.
was Mr. Personality.
Yeah. And Dante was no little dog, right? He was 85 pounds.
He was
Wow.
80 pounds.
Did he maintain that 85 pounds even when he had the cool wheels?
No, what happens is when you're in a wheelchair, you get muscle atrophy.
Mm-hmm.
So because he had been in a wheelchair for 8 years,
Okay.
slowly but surely his back legs became, thinner. His muscles atrophied. So he wasn't 85 anymore, but he was still maybe about 70 pounds. That's
Right.
big.
That's a big dog. That's a big.
A lot of weight to carry.
Of course.
To put him in the wheelchair, you have to lift him up, put him in the wheel. I mean, gave us muscles.
Right. And you owned him what, for 14 years, right? Totally?
14 years.
Amazing.
14 years.
And he
But
had
when I read to kids in schools, and I've read to so many schools and in libraries, and I love to do that.
Oh.
I never say that he's no longer with us. I make it seem like he's still around, because I don't want the kids to get sad.
Sure. Yeah.
In fact, it's the total opposite. I bring the book, I read the book, and then afterwards I have an iPad, and I show him the real Dante. I show all the kids Dante in his wheelchair with his stick and running around, and I show the real Freddie and the real Stella, which is in the first book. She's a 3-legged dog, and they go crazy when they see the real Dante. They're like, oh wow, he's real. And they get so excited, and that to me is everything.
Yeah.
That's the biggest reward of when I'm writing the book.
Of course. I mean, I believe these animals are really gifts from God, and they have a special mission, and they bring out that mission to a lot of people.
Dogs are pure love.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there is nothing like it. You could be angry with a dog, you could whatever, and the dogs don't care. They still love you. And after a long day of work, you come through that door, and that dog is so excited to see you. It's the most amazing love there is.
Absolutely. Doc G.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. I mean, I understand that when you have a handicapped animal and children look at that as an inspiration, I mean, that is incredible for them to feel loved by them, by other people, but also, hey, if a dog can do it, so can I. And there's
Exactly.
that inspiration there, and that's tremendous. But my comment um, is it just animals that feel, I know kids do, but how do adults feel? Adults, they gotta love it too, right? Like
You have,
us.
you have no idea. In the 8 years that he was in the wheelchair, we had so many adults come up to us
Mm-hmm.
and say, you don't know what this dog does to me.
Mm.
My husband has a great story. He was in the park one time walking with Dante,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a man sitting in a park bench, and he stopped him and he said, "Listen, I'm so sorry. I just need to tell you this. I see you walking your dog every day, and I just have to tell you that I had one son who unfortunately was in a car accident and passed away. And I he was my entire life, and I thought about ending my life. I couldn't live without him.
Right.
But every day I would come here and I would see you walking with your dog, and I'd see him how happy he was, and he would just, there was something he would do to me. And I never went through with it. And if anything, he inspired me to adopt a dog.
Wow.
And so at the base of the park bench, he had his little puppy with him.
Right.
And he's like, basically your dog saved my life.
Yeah.
And that's just one of so many stories.
Yeah.
People just need something to inspire them. And even the smallest thing can inspire someone. Even a dog in a wheelchair with a stick in his mouth could
Right.
inspire you, and that's what he did. And there were so many times we would be walking on the street and cars would honk their horn and give us a thumb up, and it just made people happy to see that we decided, no, we weren't going to put him down. We were going to let him live his best life.
Beautiful.
And that inspired people. So yeah.
Yeah, I know there was one little story I told about a little boy in a wheelchair that said, "Hey, Mom, that dog's just like me."
Yeah.
What a beautiful story that is,
Yeah.
It's so inspiring right there.
And I tell you, like I said before, when I had written the first book and I showed it to him, and he sent me this really long text later on in the day where he was describing how when he was young and he was 14 years old, he hated himself, he hated his life, he thought he was weird and strange and no one liked him.
Mm-hmm.
But every day seeing Dante made him happy. And little by little, he started to say, you know what? If this dog can do it, I can do it. And little by little, he started to love his wheelchair. And this young man is now 19 years old and thriving.
Wow.
And that's amazing. That's just amazing. Sometimes you say to yourself, and when this happened to Dante, he was 6 years old.
Right.
And Dante comes from a champion line. His parents were champions.
Right.
And he was being trained to become a champion, to go and compete in agility contests and everything, in command contests. And then he had this stroke.
Right.
And Al and I used to say, why did this happen to us? Why did this happen to him?
Yeah.
And little by little, it was almost as if God was telling us he was meant for other things. He was meant
definitely
to
had a mission for sure.
Yeah. And I think that's basically why it happened, because he was meant to inspire people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Marlyn, my dog that I had when I was growing up, he was 15 years old. He had a mini stroke, and left him his whole left side was unable to do anything, which was really sad. But I mean, strokes happen, right? And we don't know why. For dogs, it happens, but happens in human beings all the time. Did the doctors or veterinarians say any reason why it happens?
Well, he had what is called a fiber cartilaginous embolism.
Okay.
Long term. Okay, it's basically an FCE. What that is a very small piece of cartilage in the spine sort of breaks off and causes swelling. And the swelling in certain dogs can cause serious damage.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
no blood flow, of course, no blood flow.
Right. And about 80% of dogs that have this, they recover. But the 20% that don't, they just don't recover the use of their back legs.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Dante was one of those dogs in the 20% that didn't recover. And when I tell you we tried everything, we tried everything. I mean, there's no type of, we went even so far as to do stem cell.
Oh, wow.
We did everything. He was our life. We loved him and we wanted him to come back.
Of course.
But nothing. He was just never able to use his back legs again. And what was weird is when he would sleep, you'd see his back legs move. And you go, oh wow, they're moving. But they're involuntary muscle movements. They were not real movements, but it didn't matter. He was not in pain. As long as he was not in pain, he was gonna be around. We were gonna do everything to make him have as a normal life as possible. And when I tell you he had a normal life, in his wheelchair, we used to throw him the stick or the ball, and he would run after it. He would grab it. He played with other dogs. He thrived. Thank God. And it wasn't, until the end that we realized, okay, at 14 and a half, German Shepherds don't usually last that long, especially ones in wheelchairs. And by the end, he was tired, and his muscles, his bones were. But for the 14 years we had him, he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Tell us about the interaction with other dogs. It was not easy for Dante, right? At first.
It was weird. So before that, he had a group of dog friends,
right?
And they would play. But after he had his stroke and he was in his wheelchair, a lot of dogs were afraid of the wheelchair. Right. They didn't understand what that was. And some would just sniff the wheels, and after a while they'd be okay, but others were not okay. And they would snip at him, and or they would just bark at him, and they didn't understand what these wheels were.
Right.
And what was weird was that he was such a friendly dog. He was like, hey, what's wrong with you? I'm okay. I'm fine. Wait, what is it? You don't like my wheelchair? Come on. And he would try to interact with them. Right. It was just great. And then other dogs didn't care. Other dogs didn't even bother, didn't even look at his wheelchair. They just wanted to play with him. Dogs are amazing like that,
Yeah. But he was very inspiring to so many people and other animals too, I would imagine.
Absolutely. Like his three-legged. So he met one time in the park. We were walking around, and this three-legged dog came up to him, and it was I started laughing because here he is in his wheelchair, and here's another dog, a three-legged dog, and they're playing. Her name was Stella, and she was trying to grab the stick out of his mouth, and she was pulling the stick, and they were fighting for the stick, and I'm looking at them, and the Stella's owner is looking, and we were laughing. It was like the funniest thing. Then people came around, and they were looking. In fact, so Stella is in the first book.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, like I said, he inspired everybody, even other dogs.
Right.
That's awesome.
I know you also thought about bringing this to television as an animated series.
Yes.
Right? Tell us about that. Any progress?
Great idea, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have written. I'm a screenwriter.
Right.
I have written several screenplays that we have our own production company.
Mm-hmm.
We have several screenplays that we have in various stages of development and that we want to produce ourselves in our production company. Um, and one of the projects that we have is an animated series based on Dante.
Oh, great.
I've written a treatment for it, and it's a 30-minute animated series with Dante as the lead, basically, and all these other characters. And I want it to be an animated series to inspire not just children, but adults as well, and all children, children that have no disabilities or children with disabilities, whatever.
Right.
It's a series to teach other children to accept differences among themselves,
Right.
a series to inspire children to overcome any difficulty that they see coming up,
Right.
and a series to persevere.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that is in the works. We're working on it very hard. Like I said, I have a treatment for it. I started writing a pilot for it, and hopefully that'll take off. I'll be
I know
really
you and Al have so many ideas going all the time. So I know you guys are always working.
always. We have things constantly. I'll come up with something and I'll sit down and say, "Al, what do you think?" And he's like, "Okay, then we'll do this and let's do this." And before we know it, it's like we formulated an entire concept, and then I'll sit down and I'll write it. Like I said, we have four movies, four screenplays,
Wow.
a series, one series, several reality shows, the
Wow.
animated series. Yeah, we're like a hit machine.
And you guys are not afraid to try different things. That's what's so awesome.
About you guys.
No, you know, sometimes people say, "Well, you should stick to what you know." No, no, you stick to what you believe, and as long as you are creative and you come up with ideas, you go for it. You don't stick to what you know. You do whatever you want to do, and that's how we are.
That's great. I mean, you had such a well-rounded life. I mean, you grew up were born in Havana, Cuba, right? Grew up in Manhattan, New
Yeah.
York City. Went to Manhattan College, right? And I studied international affairs.
Yes, yes. I I wanted to work for the United Nations. I desperately wanted to travel the world and work for the United Nations in diplomacy.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I did intern at the United Nations for the Department for Disarmament Affairs.
Nice.
I learned a great deal. I got to meet some amazing people. The man I interned for was an expert in chemical and biological warfare, and he just the stories this man used to tell me, it was fascinating. It was absolutely fascinating. But as you know, as you grow up and you start to realize that maybe what you want as younger and as you get older, it changes, your ideas change. And I realized I was probably more of a creative individual than I was an analytical person.
Right.
So my path in life changed. And then I met Al, and I produced his radio show for many years. And I realized, wow, I really enjoyed doing that. Really enjoyed writing and learning about music. And Al's like a music encyclopedia.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Amazing. I mean, a song comes on the radio, and I go, "Do you know the song?" And right away, he's like, "It's this person." Blah, 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 blah. He's unbelievable. So I learned a great deal working with him, and I realized that's what I love. I'm a creative. So
Right. And you lived in several different places too, right? Didn't you live in Italy for a couple of years, like 5 years?
basically, on and off for 5 years. I studied in France. Yeah, yeah, I did. I enjoyed my youth, shall I say.
Very cool. And you started writing very young. You developed that interest, right?
Well, actually, I started I started writing when I was interning at the United Nations. I started writing. I was editing periodicals for the department. That was um, one of the requirements that I had to do as an intern. And
Right.
then I started slowly to shift. And then with Al, I started writing his syndicated show. And then I started to say, wow, I really like to write. And then we moved out to California, and I was doing some acting and he was acting. And little by little, I'm like, you know what? I like the acting, but I kind of like to be behind the scenes. And I like to create these stories more than actually act in them.
Right.
So I wrote my first screenplay, and then that just kind of snowballed into another one. And that's how it took off.
Wow. I know you wanted to work on a novel. Have you got around to that yet?
Oh, I will. Are you kidding me? I
In your spare time, Marlyn.
Yeah.
What is that?
I'm always, Jimmy, I'm always thinking of things to write and to do. I never stop. I'm always, this brain is always is always on.
Absolutely. Tell us about Blue Betrayal. What's going on with that?
Yes, Blue Betrayal is one of our screenplays that we are developing. It's very exciting. It's inspired by true events. A very good friend of Al's was had a very dangerous job.
Right.
And he one day just came over and he started telling me about it. He's like, "Do you think this would make a good movie?" I said, "Well, tell me the story. Let's see." And he sat down, he told me the story, and I said, "You know what? There's something there. I think I can do something with this." And I kind of Hollywooded it up a little bit. And I came up with this story about this man who, like I said, had a very dangerous job, and his wife wanted him to find something else to do. And he did. He opened up a gym in the 1980s, and it was going well. But then, he had a partner that was doing things on the side that were not right.
Right.
And that kind of snowballed into more things. And he found himself in a very precarious situation. So it's going to be a really, really fun movie to shoot. And we're working on that. We're also working on a horror film.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is this Guyana Road? Is that it?
Yeah, it's called
It is.
The Mine on Gehenna Road. Yeah.
Okay.
That's also that's going to be fun. And it's it's a horror film. It's a little bit on the creature monster genre.
Right.
It's not blood gore kind of horror. It's more on the traditional old style creature horror genre.
Okay.
And that's also going to be really exciting. That one right now is sort of like leading the way. So I think that one we'll be doing fairly soon.
And that was like a little bit different for you, right, Marlene? Because you hadn't done horror before, but you tried it out, and you sort of liked it, right?
Like I said before, people always say, do what you know,
Right.
or they'll say, stick to one genre and, become known for that genre. But I say, when you're a writer, your brain is always going. You're always coming up with ideas. Me anyway. And I come up with ideas all the time that are vastly different, from horror to romance to crime to whatever. And I'll write them. I don't stick to one genre. So Al had mentioned, why don't you think about writing a horror film? That's very popular. And I was like, well, okay. And one day I was on the internet and I saw this story about an abandoned town. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, wait a second. And the wheels started turning. Before I knew, I came up with the story, and it just, blew up into a screenplay.
So awesome. Doc G.
Yeah, you're an amazing woman, and so is Al. I mean, he's an amazing person as well. But I have to tell you, I understand exactly what you mean about do what you know. Is that's not what I do either, because for 27 years I've been running this radio station, and everybody has told me, why don't you just stick to the 60s or stick to the 70s? I said, because there's so much music out there, you can't just love one genre. I love all of them,
Right.
classic rock and oldies and all that. But the point is, just like you're saying, you do what you love to do, you do what you can do, and you go outside the box. I always say there is no box, right?
Exactly.
Right outside the box, do this. There's no box.
Yep. Al always says, you don't play in the box. Go outside the box.
Outside the box, right?
The outside the box is so vast. The box is like this big. Then all around it is so much to explore. So, and that's how we are. He's the same. He started out in radio, and look at him now. He went on to TV, to film. He's done it all.
That's
because
awesome.
Why just do one little thing when there's so much in this world to do? So that's how we are, and that's why our production company has so many different projects in the works, because it's whatever we're interested in, whatever we feel passionate about. That's how we are. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you're also part of a worldwide contest, Marlyn Love. Tell us a little bit about that time in your life when you did that.
Yeah. So, as a writer, you always try to challenge yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There was this call for screenplays for shorts. It was a writing contest that was sponsored by Roman Coppola, Intel Computers, and the W Hotels. And they wanted they were very specific. You had to write a 10-minute short.
Mm-hmm.
It had to take place in one of the hotels, the W Hotels. It had to feature an Intel computer.
Oh.
The Intel computer had to be basically the main character. And it could only be 10 pages. And that was a challenge. Like, wow, okay, let me think. And I came up with this story about, and it was way before today's time. Now everything is ThinkPads and iPads, and So in my story, a husband and a wife go on vacation, but he doesn't like to travel. So she travels, and she takes the Intel computer, and he's basically FaceTiming her the entire time.
Oh.
And wherever she goes, she brings the computer, but he's on the computer. So she goes to dinner, she sits the computer in front of her as she eats, and he's eating, but in the computer. And everything is like that. And their entire relationship is like that. And I was one of the top finalists in the screenplay competition. It was great. It was like, I think it was over 1,000 entries all over the world. And I was one of the top 5, which was very exciting.
What an achievement, for sure.
Oh.
Doc G, what else do you have for Marlyn?
Well, I just want to let people know that Jimmy and I are hosting a show in 2024 for the International Film Festival. We are 2 film judges.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
It's exciting, just like you said, because you get to see a lot of different kinds of films, and we actually get to hopefully guide people's careers.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's up to us as judges to put through the good films and not so much the bad ones.
Yep.
And it's a credibility thing. It's also what you're looking for, quality, and basically whatever you do in life, you want to make sure it's the best you can make it.
Yep. Let me tell you, last year I was on the nominating committee for SAG-AFTRA. I was on the film nominating committee.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah. So I was sent, I'm going to say like 50 films to watch. And I said, I'm going to watch every single one, because I thought it was my responsibility to really see everything.
Absolutely.
And I saw the entire gambit, from tiny little films that had very little marketing and advertising, to mega films that later went on for Oscars and so forth. And I watched them all. And I'm going to tell you, surprisingly, a lot of these small films are really, really good. They don't have the cachet that perhaps a big studio film does.
Correct.
But some of them were really, really good. And I took it seriously. because it's very hard. People don't realize how difficult it is to make a film.
Yeah.
To go from an idea, putting it on paper,
Mm-hmm.
and then making that script really, really good, to getting actors attached, to getting a director attached, to then assembling, then getting finance. Oh, the finance portion of it is another world.
Right.
And then getting an entire crew, assembling a crew, location. I mean, it takes so much to get a film done, even a small film.
That's true. That is
People
very true.
don't realize how difficult it is. Monumental. It's literally as if you were putting together a company, an entire company,
Mhm.
for just 4 months. And then working for 4 months and then saying bye-bye and just, saying goodbye to the company. But literally putting together an entire company in 4 months.
And when you're shooting a film, people don't realize how many hours a day you work.
No, please, yeah.
Oh,
It's crazy.
yeah, easy, 14 hours. I mean, theoretically, you're probably on set 12 hours, but as producers, you're probably there longer. You're there earlier than everybody. You're there afterwards. You're making sure everything's going on. So for a producer, easy, 14 hours.
Mhm.
So and this is every day, 5 days a week for the duration of the filming. That could be either 28 days all the way to 50, 60 days. And in these mega films, it could be 6 months. So it takes a lot of work.
And the funny thing about that, Marlene, is a lot of people, again, they don't understand it. But if you have more people in the mix,
Mhm.
it also, you lose a lot in the mix of people, because you have editors and you have other people in there that are not going to see it the same way the producer sees it, or not going to see it the same way the budget sees it, or not going to see it the same way that the company sees
Oh yeah.
it.
Oh yeah. So when you're writing, and this happens, and the thing is that I'm a writer producer, so I write, and then after I write, I go, okay, now I have to put on my producer hat. What did I write? What is doable financially?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I have to go back into my script and say, okay, this would just cost too much to film, so I got to rework the scene. Yeah, and then you have a director will come on board, and then a director will have his vision, and then you have to sort of work with the director. The point is that as producers, you have to find people that are like-minded,
Right.
and they see the project the way you see the project. You don't want to hire someone that sees a completely different vision than you do. That's just not going to work.
Right.
So you have to write. You have to hire a director, an editor, crew, everybody, a cinematographer, everyone that has your vision or sees your vision, at least sees your vision, sees what you're trying to accomplish, and says, okay, we can do this. And that's not easy.
Yeah, I know.
That's not easy. The saying, there are a lot of cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
It's true. It's so true.
That ends up happening on the set.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy job. It really is not an easy job.
Right. Do you have a special place where you guys like to film, like New York or Los Angeles or New Jersey? Any special place that you really enjoy filming?
We like to film wherever we get the most money out of it. As again, when you're a producer, you have to not only think creatively, but you have to think financially.
Can I get the whole cast here? Can I get the crew here?
What kind of tax credit can I get from the state? How is it going to be convenient to our budget?
Right.
Sure. I mean, I would love to shoot in Bora Bora. I would love to shoot in Italy.
Yeah, I love it.
We will one day. But it's, first of all, it's wherever the script takes us. Blue Betrayal will probably be New York and New Jersey.
Right.
Gehenna Road takes place in the Blue Ridge Mountains. which would be Georgia and South Carolina. But
Mhm.
the magic of film, you can cheat a lot of times.
Studio.
Yeah. So, that could be, we can shoot in Georgia, we can shoot in New Jersey, we'll
South
see.
Jersey's doing that credit for all the filmmakers. Remember,
Yes,
South
New Jersey has a very, very good tax credit for, and that's why it's so busy. New Jersey, New York is so busy right now.
Mhm.
It's really a great place for filmmakers right now.
Nice.
So,
Getting back to Dante for a little bit, I just wanted to ask: did he adjust to the different places that you lived? Like of course, you lived in New York, you lived in LA. Did he have a special spot that he liked?
Dante loved everything.
Mhm.
He loved California because, well, that was where he was born and he was raised. But when we moved out to Jersey, and the first time he saw the snow, I didn't think he was going to like it.
Right.
Loved the snow. Loved it. Loved playing in the snow. Even in his wheelchair, he would play in the snow.
Aw.
And it was not easy to walk a dog of his size in the snow in a wheelchair. Trust me, it was not easy, but he loved it. So no, he adopted well to everything. He really did. In that sense, he was great about that.
Yeah, yesterday I was watching the news and I saw a story that reminded me so much of Dante. It was about a homeless vet who was in a wheelchair, and he came across a dog on the street that had his hind legs were not movable, and he became very good friends with the dog, started taking care of the dogs, and they inspired each other. And I'm like, that's a Dante story.
Yeah, that
So
is.
awesome.
Oh my God.
I saw that yesterday. That was pretty wild.
Yeah. It was. That's great. That's great. It's fantastic.
There's another book for you.
That's a book. There you go.
Another idea.
There you go. Yeah.
So tell us more about the book. And I know you said it's coming out soon, right? It's coming out next week. Okay.
Yes. I am shooting for the 10th of December.
Okay.
It will absolutely be out before Christmas. That's for sure.
Awesome.
I'm shooting for December 10th. My new illustrator is fantastic. She literally has 3 pages of illustrations done in 3 days. She's amazing. She's done a great job. So I will have it done.
Where everybody buy it? Go ahead, Jimmy. That's what he's going to ask. Sorry.
So I self-publish Amazon. It'll be available on Amazon in paperback, and then later on I'll probably then do hardcover.
Okay.
And then obviously it will be available also in Kindle.
I know you did Dante's Cool Wheels in Spanish as well. Are you going to do that in Spanish as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Well, I'm Cuban, and I have an entire family.
You speak many languages, right? I mean, it's not just English and Cuban.
Yeah, I speak 4 languages.
Wow.
So, and I have this whole entire family that speaks Spanish. So, absolutely, it will have to be translated into Spanish. It's a must. So it will be, yeah.
And Dante's Cool Wheels is still available right on Amazon.
Amazon, yep, it's still available on Amazon. Still doing really well on Amazon.
It's a great Christmas gift too. It really is.
Fantastic Christmas. Let me tell you, I've read this book to so many kids in so many schools and ages. I've gone from kindergarten all the way up to 3rd grade, and every age just loves the book. So it is a great book. The first one, Dante's Cool Wheels. I got a 5-star rating from Reader's Digest.
Nice.
So that's a big thing.
Sure.
And hopefully I'll get the same thing for the second one.
And the beautiful pictures, Doc. Look at that.
I love them. Yeah, they're awesome.
This is Freddie, and this is his sister Lily.
So that was the little boy I was talking about, right? Okay, now he's all grown up, of course.
All grown up.
19.
This little boy now is 19 years old.
Wow.
Yep. He is 19 years old. And like I said, he's thriving and he's doing really well.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he used to see Dante from the window, right? Or, he say, hey, Mom, look at that dog, right? That dog's like me.
All the time from his car window as he was going to school.
Wow. What an inspiring story. And, your stories teach people never to give up. And I love that.
Yep. Well, you know, that's our philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
We never gave up on Dante. Dante never gave up.
Right.
And let me tell you, there were vets that said to us, you know, some dogs just don't do well. They will not do well in a wheelchair. They won't do well not being able to use their back legs. So, you know, you just be prepared. Dante never ever gave up. He just, if he couldn't, he would do everything he could to stand up. Even if he couldn't move his back legs, he would drag himself. It didn't matter.
Oh,
He wanted something, he went for it.
what a fighter.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
exactly. He was a fighter. Yep,
Yeah.
he was. And he taught us to be like that. He inspired us. And that's what I'm trying to do with the book, inspire other people.
Oh,
Yeah, he was an angel in a lot of ways to a lot of people.
It's funny you said that. I was on the set one time on the TV show, and I was speaking to a lady, and I was telling her about Dante, and she said to me, "He's your spirit animal."
Hmm.
And I said, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, he's your spirit animal. He's always around you," which is, you know, I don't know if people believe things like that. I do. I believe
I do too. Yeah.
people are around, and she's like, he's around you. He's your spirit animal.
Yeah, I believe that absolutely. What about you, Doc?
What did you name? Why did you name him Dante? Just curious.
Okay, so I speak Italian. I have my BA, my Bachelor's of Arts is in political science, French, and Italian.
Mm-hmm.
So and then I went on and I did a master's in Italian, and my main research was Dante's Inferno.
Oh,
Yeah. So I did the entire, not just the Inferno, but the Paradiso and, you know, and Purgatorio and all that. So Dante is from Dante's Inferno, basically.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So, Doc, any final thoughts from Marlene?
Marlene, before you go, we just want to ask you if you can do a sweeper for Jimmy and I. Just say who you are, talk about your book if you want, and say you're listening to the Jimmy DIELE Show on Hamilton Radio.
Sure.
Or you can wish everybody a happy holiday for Merry Christmas, and it'll be played.
Oh my God, absolutely. Absolutely. Hi. So I'm Marlyn Bandiero. You're listening to Jimmy DIELE on Hamilton Radio. And I wish everybody a very, very happy holiday, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Stay tuned to my amazing book, Dante's Cool Wheels, Believe, Achieve. It's a fantastic book, not only for children, but for adults as well. You'll enjoy reading it to your children, and you'll also get a lot out of it. So look out for it on Amazon, and I wish you all the very best.
What a professional, Doc.
Yeah, of course.
I learned it from Al.
You learned it all from Al. Me too.
All from Al.
God bless you. You're amazing. We love you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Marlene. I appreciate you coming back on the show. Good luck with the book. Any big plans for the holidays with you, Al?
We are here with friends, and we're just gonna enjoy ourselves. Friends and family, just have a great time.
Well,
Looking
have a
for
Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, enjoy the holidays, and
Yeah, we're looking forward.
you, Al, and good luck with the new book. I know it's going to do fantastic.
And keep a lookout. There's a lot of things coming in 2024. It's going to be a really exciting year.
Well, keep us posted.
Keep us in the loop. Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marlene. Appreciate it. Tell Al we said goodbye.
I will. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you again. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh my gosh, she's amazing. I just love the inspiration she brings out to everything.
Oh my God, yeah. A lot of hope to a lot of people.
Jimmy, who do we have coming up? We have some amazing people coming up still.
Yeah, I mean, you were just telling me about a guest that we just booked for next week. Could you tell us about that guest, Doc?
Well, the little bit that I've got right now, her name is Stacy Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
And she was on Sesame Street when she was 4 years old. She's also going to be in a movie called The Alien List.
Really?
Which I'm trying to locate right now, and I'll let you know.
Okay.
Yeah, The Alien List, and it's going to be a huge movie.
Wow.
of course, my friend David Merlin, I'll give him a shout out, who's an illusionist and also a musician.
Right.
Stacy is a longtime friend of a lot of people in different shows like E.T., the movie, Scream, and a lot of other places like that. So we're going to talk to her next week.
And she has a famous relative, right? You have to say that.
She has a famous, but she's not telling us who it is. She's going to keep us in the dark from the 70s and 80s. A relative that's in music. I mean, that's like a trivia question. Who is it?
Right.
I don't know. It could be anybody.
We're looking forward to that. Also, Lee Newton's going to join us at 7
Lee Newton. I love her.
Monday.
She's such an amazing lady, music-wise.
She is another person that never stops.
Gospel album coming out, right?
Yes. I mean, she's always has something going on. She's always in Nashville. She's always recording. So there's always a lot going on with her. So we'll find out exactly what's new with her.
She just got married recently. So congratulations to her and her husband, Dale. I think it's great. I love hearing, good things like that happening to people because there's a lot of bad stuff happening around us.
Right.
But, we keep the shows coming, guys. If you guys want to donate anything to us ever,
absolutely,
you can go to hamiltonradio.net and just donate. There's a page right there. Let me find it real quick, Jimmy, and I'll put it up there for people.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps these shows going, so we really appreciate any help.
That's it. Yep. The donation page is right here, guys. Let me get it for you. It's right here. But you can go to hamiltonradio.net. There's a little button on there. You click on that, and it takes you right to PayPal. And you can give whatever you want. We appreciate anything you give us because we're working on a lot of things, Jimmy and I.
Absolutely.
And Hamilton Radio is where we got new shows coming up. We got 3 new sponsors. So 2024 going into it, we're screaming into it.
Yeah, a lot of great guests coming up, Doc.
A lot of great guests. And we just interviewed Frankie Avalon. I want to give some shout outs to some people.
Yeah,
too.
I know. And Jerry was listening, right? So, hey there.
So I want to give a shout out to Jerry Petito. She's one of our radio hosts who actually had Frankie Avalon on.
And she has Marlyn Bandiero coming on her show as well.
Marlyn Bandiero going on her. And then our friend Tom Payton. And who else we got, Jimmy?
We got Cindy Lake Ronkonkoma is out there. My mom out in Brooklyn, of course. We got Trisha out in Sun City, Florida. We have Marty out in Gravesend. Tommy out in Canarsie. So many people that listen to us all the time. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
We sure do. We thank you everybody. And want to wish you, if we don't talk, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. We have 2 shows next week. So we will see you right before the holidays. And we'll see what's going on.
Yep. And if you guys want to hear music, Christmas music all the time on hamiltonradio.net during the day, all the way till 9:00 at night, and then and in between. So between the shows, you'll be able to hear a lot of Christmas music. So enjoy it, request it, whatever you want to hear. We have the traditional favorites and some new favorites, some new stuff. There's my co-partner,
Christmas music, the best, Doc.
Mr. Santa. She did a song called Mr. Santa. I think it was last year.
Wow.
And we play that. We play a lot of that stuff. So you'll hear a lot of mix.
Good. Great stuff.
All right, guys. Have a great night, right, Jimmy? We'll talk to you later.
Have a great night, everybody. We'll check you out next Monday at 7:00 with Lee Newton, and then again at 8:30 with our special guest,
Stacy Johnson. Yep.
Stacy Johnson. Okay. Take care. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.